Hi, it's me. I know it's been a long time and I really apologize, and I also know I'm behind in grading and I apologize for that as well. I'll explain that a little bit because it actually does have something to do with government. So our college is accredited, as you know any decent college is, um, and the organization that accredits us is called the Higher Learning Commission. There are regional organizations and we're one of about, I think, 5 or 6 regional organizations. Anyway, accreditation is really important because, first of all, employers don't like non-accredited institutions. They generally don't look good on your resume. And the second reason is that in order to get financial aid, you need to be going to an accredited college. So this is super, super important. So what happens is the accreditation process also works for the federal government because the accreditors look for, are we complying with federal law? Are we, following all the rules and regulations, as well as are we meeting all the criteria for accreditation? So my role is what's called a peer reviewer. So I work with a team, and sometimes we look over documentation, sometimes we visit institutions, and that's what I've been doing. I visited an institution about 2 weeks ago, and then last week I was at the meeting of the Higher Learning Commission, which is the accrediting body. So I've actually been part of the accreditation process. Not for our school, of course, because that would be a conflict of interest, but other schools. So that's what I've been doing, and fortunately it relates to American government, so hopefully I get some forgiveness on that. Now, this week we're talking about the presidency, which is of course a fascinating subject, and I feel like it's a hard one right now because the presidency is in such transition. Donald Trump is very different from other presidents in terms of his style, and we can talk about that. But also, there have just been some disruptors with the presidency. For example, it used to be that if a president wanted to get information out, he would hold a press conference and obviously had to let his staff know what the press conference was about, let the media know, and all of that. Well, now, with the new media, the president can just get up and tweet something off the top of his head, and sometimes he tells his staff and sometimes he doesn't, which changes the nature of the presidency. And so we're seeing a little bit of that. And also, the recent events in Syria are showing some of the powers of the presidency as well, because normally the president has a lot of power in foreign policy, and you see that because he's the commander-in-chief, he can order missile strikes and things like that. That's been a little bit controversial because, as you know from the Constitution, it's Congress that has the right to declare war. And the conflicts we get into, especially after World War II, don't involve a formal declaration of war. When President Obama was faced with a similar situation, he asked for Congress to give him the authority to do it, and they did not. This time, I think President Trump was safe. Number one, because it was such an atrocious attack that occurred in Syria that not a lot of people are feeling like the Syrians don't deserve it, and don't want to say it's a bad thing just because he might have overreached his authority. But second, because the Congress is controlled by Donald Trump's political party, and so there's less likelihood that anyone from his political party is going to raise any objections. When President Obama was in a similar situation, the Congress was controlled by a different political party. So this is all interesting. I hope you enjoy the material for this week. We will look at Donald Trump in terms of something called presidential character, which is a scale that Dr. Barber used to rate presidents. So I hope you find this to be interesting. I hope to get caught up on grading this week, and have a wonderful week. We're almost done. Bye.